So conversations is just one aspect of Teams, isn't it? Like, say, if we sort of like look at it left to right, after conversations, we've got the files tab.
Yeah.
Now we are big promoters of SharePoint and reusing your resources. When you get classes created, you might have 3 Year 11 English classes, and you've got this files tab in Teams. Do you upload all your resources into that tab for every class that you teach every year? As the years roll over, you get your new teams. Seems like a lot of extra work that you have to do as a teacher.
It is. It's one of those things that seems simpler when you're doing it. I'll just do this quick. But if you think about how much time you're spending doing that, it would be much more efficient for you to put your resources in a separate SharePoint area for your subject, and then that everybody can access that, everybody in your particular class. But that people can also use that for revision purposes and go back in time and see what was there before. And as you say, you would spend a lot of your time moving documents around. If you teach maths, and let's say you teach 4 or 5 classes in the same year, you'd basically be copying the same resources into each one of those class teams.
And actually, you can add a tab, can't you, into a SharePoint library? So if you have got the central resources, you can add a tab. We do it automatically through our subject sites, but you can just press Add New Tab, type in the URL of that subject site, grab the library, and then the same library appears on every class that you teach. Every Year 11 English class, so you can reuse those resources.
That's right. So it feels like it's all in one place. It is in one place, except the teacher knows that it's actually being kept in a central place. The other reason, of course, for keeping things centrally is that if teachers put things in their own classes, you just end up with silos and you lose the opportunity for sharing between teachers. Whereas if you put things in a central place, it means teachers can look at each other's resources, use each other's resources. They can work collaboratively to improve those resources. The heads of department can keep an eye on the resources that are being used for teaching and learning. And if you're really organized, and I've seen this work, I've seen this work within departments in a school. I've even seen it work across schools that are working with each other. You can get organized and you can say, right, there's a certain amount of resources that need to be made. We need a resource for this subject, that topic, that topic, that topic. And you can actually dedicate that to particular people and say, right, if you do World of Work, and then I'll do Pocket Money, and we'll each make some nice new resources, and then we'll share them together. If you can pull that off, if you can work together in that kind of collaborative way, you can save a lot of teacher time and drive up the quality of the materials that you're using. The one thing I would say is, obviously, you can put those centralized resources. You can have different versions of those, because one of the things teachers sometimes say is, oh yeah, but I need to have my own version of this, so I can differentiate it, I can tailor it to the kids in this class. But you can do that differentiation in the central area. You can have 2 or 3 versions of that same resource in your central SharePoint subject site. And in fact, that might be one of those dimensions that we talked about when we're talking about tagging, is show me all the advanced resources, show me all the basic resources, and do it that way. And then there might be the odd occasion where you've got a document that is very, very specific just to this class, because maybe last week a conversation came up, you happened to be talking about a particular thing. And then you found a document that was really interesting about that particular thing. You could put that, of course, in that class area. I'm not saying never put things in those files areas in the classes, but don't make it your bank of resources as a teacher. Just make it a place that you put the occasional thing in those spaces. And also it's about timing, because the other thing you might want to do, let's say you're working with year 10, and it's towards the end of the year, and you're going to give them a mock exam. It's the one that year 11 did last year. You don't want to give that to them too soon, so maybe you wouldn't put that in the area in SharePoint where they can all see it, but it will come to a certain point where you're ready for that one class to be able to see that mock exam. After they've done it, they do the exam, and then they come back and you look at it together, and you want to make that paper available to them. That, I think, is a really good example of when to put a specific document in a specific class. but
you
it
can
should
use,
be
yeah,
exception rather than the rule.
you can use a copy button in SharePoint to move it into Teams as well, because behind every team is a SharePoint site, so it's compatible.